Well, moving on, the Kenyan economy is projected to grow at 6%, primarily anchored on good performance by the private sector, coupled with multi-billion shilling investments in infrastructure. The International Monetary Fund has painted a bleak picture for the economic outlook for developing economies, which have been rocked by rising debt levels and falling commodity prices. I sat down with Henry Rotich, the Treasury Cabinet Secretary, on the sidelines of the IMF spring meetings, and just to get his mind on the direction the economy was taking, with polls already indicating Kenya is not headed in the right direction. Of the World Economic Outlook report for 2016, growth prospects for the global economy have sort of stagnated. And for Kenya, we are seeing projections of 6% growth. Do we still believe we can achieve the 6% as Treasury?
Based on the recent projection, global growth remain weak. Sub-Saharan growth is even much weaker now. I think it is the lowest in 2 decades, growing at 1.6. I think that is quite low. In Kenya, yes, we are looking at growth of over 6%. Indeed, we are on track. You know that already last week, based on the figures released by Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, we grew by 6.2% in Q2. So we are on track to achieve our target growth for this year at the backdrop of all these developments. So what does it mean for Kenya? Obviously, what has happened with the commodity prices, especially oil prices, has worked against many African countries, especially oil exporters. And that is why growth in Nigeria and South Africa, which is reliant on commodities, as we can actually forecast for Nigeria, is that it's going to go to recession. So these 2 countries alone constitute 60% of African GDP. Now, for Kenya, it's worked the other way around. With lower commodity prices has helped boosted economic activity in Kenya, lowered our current account deficits and the like. So has been, I would say, good news for Kenya with the commodity price decline. I think also coupled with that, we've seen recovery in tourism and recovery also in agriculture. So the combination of that has worked for us to continue our growth momentum. So by and large, Kenya's growth is still viewed as much stronger compared to other countries in Africa, and also globally, obviously, because this has been much stronger than what we see in Europe and America.
Debt levels have been rising. Kenya's debt has also been rising. Do you think Kenya is spending its debt into the right sectors? And is this translating into more economic growth or not?
Kenya's debt level still remains sustainable. Yes, it is true that debt levels in other countries has risen. If you look at in advanced countries, the debt ratios to GDP are quite high, more probably talking of 120, 140% of GDP. In Kenya, we are just around 48, 50% of GDP. What is important is where is this borrowing going to? In our case for Kenya, you see clearly that we are spending a lot on development programs. That is the key thing. We are not borrowing for consumption. We're borrowing for development. And as long as you're borrowing for development, you are building the capacity of the economy to grow faster in the future. And that is why we are saying our debt remains sustainable. The challenge is if we are borrowing to consume, and that within a short time period, we will face a debt crisis. So borrowing with manageable levels is good, as long as we don't undermine our solvency going forward, and also making sure that we are spending on the right things, which is in this case infrastructure. Our debt level over the last 3 years grew because we embarked on this ambitious project of building the railway. That alone has, of course, increased our debt level. But the infrastructure is clear. It can be seen. It's going to be operational next year, and it's going to change how business is going to work in Kenya in terms of efficient transportation. Efficient transportation will translate to cheaper, cost of doing business. Cheaper cost of doing business will lead to stronger growth, and that's how the link is. Because if you don't solve your infrastructure problem now, I don't know when you wait to do. There is a window of opportunity to do this now, given that global interest rates are down. There are no major competition for resources now, and this is the right time to take advantage of what's happening to fix your infrastructure, because who knows in future whether interest rates globally will rise and you will never be able again to borrow and sort out your infrastructure. So it's a good opportunity, borrow wisely, invest in the right projects, and obviously we unlock the challenges we face in the infrastructure front. So as long as our debt remains sustainable, there is no worry, and indeed it is sustainable.
Now Kenya is one of the countries that has been expected to grow at very good growth rates in sub-Saharan Africa. And there are several reports, including Bloomberg, saying Kenya is among the third fastest growing economies. Perhaps now that we already have this good ranking, there's the thorny issue around corruption. And the IMF, the World Bank, and all the financial institutions have raised the red flag, not only for Kenya, but for a number of African countries. Do you feel corruption is a big issue at the moment?
We have done a lot to fix this problem, especially from the public financial management standpoint, where we are investing a lot to automate our procedures to eliminate leakages. We are undergoing constant financial reforms to make sure that we reduce the opportunities for corruption.
Thank you very much, Waziri. Looking forward to hearing more of the deliberations once you've had the meetings.